channel.
Dinner.
I heard.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I heard. They said that. I see.
Okay, well, let's rock and roll here.
Your brother.
You see, no way.
I can't help myself. Yeah, I can't help myself. Sandra's sick today. Good morning. Today is Tuesday, November 10th, 2015. This is the regular meeting of the Los Angeles Board of Police Commissioners. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Good morning. Let the record reflect Commissioners Johnson, Soboroff, Kim, and Saltzman are present, and we have a quorum. Number one on the agenda, Commission comments.
Thank you. Do we have any commissioner comments this morning?
No, sir.
Do you have any any comments on the?
We have 7 comment cards. We start with Denisha Denard, Davon Williams, Brandy Brown, and Prentice Jenkins.
Good morning. My name is Tanisha Denard with the Youth Justice Coalition. I came to present to you guys again a letter that we had came to present on October 3rd after the passing of Assembly Bill 953, which will require law enforcement to track data on killings and stuff like that. So we just hope to get a meeting with you guys just to discuss what AB 953 is really going to do. And, you know, I look forward to a response from you guys because we've been here time after time. You guys know that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Davon, also from the Youth Justice Coalition. Today I will be reading you off a few names killed in the hands of law enforcement by LAPD. Pablo Meza, 24 years old, a Latino male. Ciego Alexander Nevas, 36 years old, Latino. Antonio Perez, male, 32 years old, Latino. Antonio Perez, 32, same one actually. Victor Daniel Torres, 28 years old, Latino. Jonathan Aragon, 29 years old, male, Latino. Robert Fuso Rodriguez, male, Latino, 39 years old. Luis Martinez, 35, male, Latino. Hector Lorando Merojan, age 19, male, Latino. Andrew Jorge George Valadez, 26 years old, Latino. Thong Kiang Ma, 32 years old, Asian male. Brendan K. Glenn, 29 years old, African American male. Nefi Reagan, 21 years old, African American male. Fierez Morad, 20 years old, Asian male. Adrian Sentamal, 24 years old, Latino male. Caesar A. Lyman Juarez, 27 years old, Latino male. John Leonard Berry, 31 years old, white male. Jason M. Hindley, 29 years old, black male. Jason Charles Davis, 41 years old, white male. Thank you. She will continue to read a few more.
Thank you.
So, good morning. My name is Brandy Brown from the Youth Justice Coalition. Damon Jackson, 37. Omar Obrego, 37. Alberto Morales, 41. Ezel Ford, 25. Gabriel Gonzalez, 22. Luther Walker, 38. Johnny Martinez, 28. Richard Joseph, 62. William Spring, 36. Calvin Williams, 38. George T, 34. Eduardo Bermudez, 26. Ricardo Avalar, 57. Dennis Deere, 52. Fernando Escobardo, 19. David Ware, 42. Myra C, 34. Brian Pickett, 26. Thank you.
Prentice Jenkins, followed by the Red Chief Hunt, Agustin Cebada, Ted Hayes, and Hamid Khan.
Hello, show and tell here again. This is your fire department. Homosexual firemen stalking individuals. I don't know if you're going to do anything about that.
Mr. Jenkins, I'm not sure how this is on topic.
It is. I want to know if you're going to do anything about it. Put it on the agenda.
This is not on topic. This is appropriate for general public comment, but not for commissioner comments.
There's a request for future agenda items. Are you going to? I want to know if you're going to put this as a future agenda item. Stalking of mentally ill firemen, mentally ill cops, stalking people. You know, hoping they can. Firemen hoping they can give straight black men mouth to crotch resuscitation. That's what they want. Homosexual cops, homosexual firemen. I'm not saying all cops are. You got a few in there. I'm not talking about gay cops who are out of the closet. I applaud cops who are out of the closet. Absolutely. They deserve to be employed by the Los Angeles Police Department. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the ones that are on the down low. They like to run back and forth past your place, hit their horn, and then stop it. Then as soon as they get past, they turn the horn off. Yes, you have that. You do have that in the police department. And guess what? It's getting worse. Ezell Ford is dead because of two gay cops who just want to fill him up. He's dead. They shot him. They shot him to cover up their crime of sexual assault. The AP did a story on cops who were arrested. 1,000 cops who were arrested for sexual crimes. That's 1,000 cops across the country.
Thank you again. My name is the Red Chief Hunt. I want to reiterate what these guys are saying, and every life matter. And to these guys, they're hurting. The commission has not addressed that in any type of way. When somebody is shot dead over a routine traffic stop, that's nonsense. We have to be better than that. But more so than that is that the commission has to be accountable to the people for that. And when they're not accountable and when people are end up dead, it's not a pretty situation. I still hold Chief Beck responsible as being chief of police. I think that we need a civil chief of police up there, and we need to have a civil, one of these guys here asking, how can we stop this from happening? And this is what's really missing, that you guys never interact with the public. A few of you guys are starting to. In the good old days, back 10 years ago, and I'm going to say this, I've been around here a long time when the commission was across the street. It was John Mackey and Alan Skoskin. They always replied to the people and solved problems. Do we have that kind of police commission today? Sort of, but not so much. I think the new people that are coming in have plans to solve problems and put people first. That's what Democrats do. And I really have to give big ups to Black Lives That Matter, who shut down the meeting over at the church. That was phenomenal, because if you don't create jobs for the people, then you're going to have a whole bunch of problems in the community, and that's where the problems lie. Community-based policing is providing jobs for the community, and when you feel that, Eric Garcetti, you've been here too long. That's what Baca told a couple of his people when he was sheriff. And thank Sheriff McDonald for calling me back. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Agustin Cebada.
Either from the Chicano Roundtable. I came here to talk about the very existence of this entity that I'm before, because we understand that this police department has 52% of the city's budget. And how does that relate to this issue? What is the comments? What do you guys do here as commissioners? What does a police chief do? You know, it's a question of we're seeing all over the country, especially this guy Glenowitz. He's gone through all kinds of corruption and everything like that. And my question was about him. Who let that guy who is 30-year veteran in there? So that stinks of corruption in that entity. And you guys that are here, Soboroff, Beck, I know you know for sure about corruption. The Rampart corruption issue came out, and how did that come down, and why was it allowed to go so far? I mean, there was a long article in the LA Times talking about all the different things that happened there. The police were doing all kinds of things. They were rousting the homeboys, taking their drugs away, going up to the building across the street, having sex with all the prostitutes, and then having the prostitutes go out and sell the drugs for their own benefit. And you know about that, Soboroff. You've been here long enough. You were here, and so was Beck. So, I want to talk about that and get over the question. Are we going to have another person here on the LAPD that commits suicide over something similar to what Glenowitz did? That's a very important question. We don't know. Is that possible? I think because you guys are so insular and you don't put out any information to the public that you're covering up for a lot of stuff that's going on, and the public needs to know. We're paying 52% of the city's budget for you guys, and what do we get from you? We come over here, we get no answers, and we get nasty looks at us, and you don't want to do anything. You're not responsible to the people who pay the taxes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ted Hayes, followed by Hamid Khan.
LAPD cooking the books. Thanks to Commissioner Salzman. That report on officer-involved shootings, he asked a very pertinent question. What about officers who are in the field, patrol officers? Categorize those, that age bracket thing. We know that once officers get a certain age, they should rise in ranks, and when they rise in ranks, they no longer stay in the field. They're no longer patrol officers. So he asked a very pertinent question about designating the number of officers who are on patrol, who are involved in shootings, and those and other aspects of work within the department. So once again, Lieutenant Simp could cook the books by giving these figures on officers-involved shootings. Now, I pointed out that every agenda has, in closed session, some kind of an officer-involved shooting, and I see once again, there's an officer-involved shooting with an animal. Is it the same animal we had 2 weeks ago, or a different animal? And I always thought that most officers were equipped with pepper spray. Is that effective on animals as well as human beings? If so, why was that not utilized? Well, of course, circumstances might demand that a weapon be used and the animal be shot with the weapon. But anyway, I'll be listening to your determination on the animal officer-involved shooting after closed session. And please, let's be very attentive to the fact that when they come before you, they are going to cook the books. Always remember that.
Hello, my name is Hamid Khan with the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition. I want to start my comments by being very transparent and public about the email communications that has been going on between Matt Johnson and the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition and the Los Angeles Community Action Network. We were approached by Matt Johnson through Richard T. Fank to have a meeting with us, and he demanded that we meet in this building at 12 o'clock in the afternoon on a Monday. We responded by saying that no, we would want to meet at a time which is convenient for the community and which is in a location which is convenient for the community to access as well, instead of this super barricaded fortress that we are now sitting inside. He completely refuses to come and meet with us. We've been doing this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, but we're not going to let him spin this thing and say, well, gee, I want to meet with the community, but the community doesn't want to meet with me. We want to meet with him. We are committed to meet with him. We want to have discussion. We want to have serious conversations with him, but he still refuses to do that. We have sent another email as of last night. We're going to wait and see that what Matt Johnson does. So it's really up to you, President Johnson, that, what do you do with this thing? If you have if you have the courage, really, and if you have the gumption to come and meet with the community, and location, we can talk about it, all right? I mean, we can meet at a neutral location as well. But you can't expect people to take time off at noon on a Monday when people are struggling economically to survive and come to this barricaded fortress. The second thing I want to just talk about is this diminishing agenda. Ted Hayes and I was just sitting there laughing that, this is again another tactic where nothing of substance is being discussed. Nothing of substance about police violence. As of Sunday, 972 people have already been murdered by law enforcement agencies in the country. And as of yesterday, the 20th person was shot and killed by the LAPD. So these issues of substance, of racial profiling, of violence, of murder are completely off the table. And we'll talk more about it because when we come back, I want to talk about a copy of the letter that you have in front of you that we sent to the mayor yesterday about the status of LAPD drones. But I'll hold my comments for that later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. President, we do have one card that was submitted late. Public comment?
One card that was submitted late?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll accept it.
Okay, Melina Abdullah.
I bet you wish you knew the name before you said okay.
I knew the name. I knew it was you.
So, I just want to lift up a couple of issues. First, I think that it's really important that we look at what's happening. I've learned that, Matt Johnson, you've been sharing with folks that you've asked to meet with me and I've refused your invitations. That's actually not true. Soboroff has asked to meet with me, and I admitted that he's asked to meet with me. You have never asked to meet with me. You've asked to meet with Pete White and Hamid Khan, and you've never asked to meet with me. So I ask that you be honest about that. I also ask that, like Hamid Khan, that you consider meeting with the full community. We want an open meeting. We want to dialogue with you. What I have challenged you to do over and over is to come into the fields, meet with the field Negroes and all of the rest of the community folks so that you can stop trying to carry the water of a system that is trying to tokenize and use you. Refuse to be that. Refuse to buy into the good Negro, bad Negro narrative. We are all in this together. The reason that we're doing this work is because we love and care for our community. The reason that we are not at home, I have 3 children. I don't have time to be here every Tuesday morning at 9:30. I have a job and I have children. I'm here because our community is being occupied and hunted, and you are the president of a police commission that oversees the most murderous police department in the country. We're here because we love the community, and that should be celebrated, not treated with disdain. Don't copy him. Be someone else. Be someone who cares about the community. And so that's what I'm here to challenge you to do and to ask you to do again.
Thank you. We're now on item number 2, the report of the Chief of Police, Chief Beck.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Thank you. Yesterday, in the early afternoon, we had an officer-involved shooting in West Valley, resulted in a fatality. Uniformed officers, patrol officers from West Valley Division responded to multiple 911 calls that described a male Hispanic running in and out of traffic, acting very aggressively. When they responded, they located the subject of the radio call. They tried to take him into custody. He refused to submit to arrest. He charged the officers. A beanbag shotgun was deployed to stop his aggressive advance on the officers. Also, a taser was deployed to stop that advance. Neither one of those tools were effective. In fact, the individual was able to confront the officer that had the beanbag shotgun, despite being struck by one of the beanbag shotgun rounds, and take the beanbag shotgun from the officer. The individual then deployed the beanbag shotgun, fired at least one round at our officers. They returned fire, killing the subject. This was the 45th officer-involved shooting for this year with the Los Angeles Police Department. You know, I talked a little bit about the totality of officer-involved shootings last week. I'll talk a little bit more about it today. In our officer-involved shootings, the subjects involved in those shootings, as of yesterday, 11 African-American subjects, 21, or actually 22 now, Hispanic subjects, 7 white suspects, and 5 other races. Total, as I said, 45. I think that is necessary. I know there's been considerable discussion about demographics of use of force. Of course, this is a subset of the total use of force demographics, but I think that it's important to talk about it. That makes the amount of African Americans that were subjects of officer-involved shootings at 25% of the total. For some perspective of what that means, how that fits into the rest of the criminal justice system, violent crime victims in Los Angeles this year to date, of all violent crime victims, 24% have been African American. Violent crime offenders, this is the reported offender ethnicity as reported by the victims of the crimes. Violent crime offender data, 42% of the violent crime offenders have been African American. Violent crime arrests, specific to the arrests made by Los Angeles police officers for violent crime, 33% of those arrests have been African American, and the city population of African Americans are 9%. There are a number of demographics that have to be looked at if you're going to look at the demographics of subjects of officer-involved shootings. These are just some of them. There are many others, some of them outside the control of the Los Angeles Police Department. In my discussions at the White House, I think that the president put it very well when he said, you can't scapegoat one part of the system. In this instance, he said police officers, for a system that has multiple failures throughout it, whether it be education, housing, or employment, or other factors that lead to the circumstances which sometimes result in an officer-involved shooting. So we'll be talking more about this, and at the end of your report, all the demographic breakdowns will be made available, and hopefully the picture will emerge in a more complete manner than just looking at things from one piece of the puzzle. Rather, look at the whole puzzle. One of the things that the department is going to begin this year, we're going to create a new departmental award. It's going to be called the Preservation of Life Medal. It will be on the same level as the Medal of Valor. It will be issued to officers that are involved in circumstances where they display commendable restraint in a deadly force situation. I think that last week I talked to you about an incident that occurred in Rampart Division where 2 Metropolitan officers engaged in a wrestling match with a subject armed with a sawed-off rifle. Could have easily been an incident where deadly force was deployed, but it was not. We had a similar incident this past Friday, where surveillance officers conducting surveillance of suspects in a Valley homicide actually witnessed a shooting and a homicide as part of their surveillance. They were able to take suspects into custody without deploying their own weapons. I know that many times the Commission, as you deal with use of force issues, hears about the times when officers are forced into using deadly force, but I want to make sure that we also cover and recognize the many times that Los Angeles police officers are able to save lives by their restraint. A couple of crime issues. I know I'm going a little bit long here today, and I have a couple other things I want to talk about, but I think it's important to note that for the week ending the 7th, November 7th, we had 56 shooting victims in the city of Los Angeles for the 4-week period preceding. That's tremendous progress. For the week ending October 10th, right after we had a very difficult month in the summer, we had 101 shootings for the 4-week period. So literally, in the 2 preceding 4-week periods, we were able to cut shootings almost in half. That is tremendous progress. Veterans Day tomorrow. Important to recognize our vets in Los Angeles Police Department. Of the almost 10,000 sworn officers, we have 2,274 veterans that are active today. Many of those are reserve officers that are deployed. I have 6 officers right now who are on long-term military leave, deployed all over the world, keeping this nation safe. I want to thank all of them for their service, and I want to recognize them as part of our Veterans Day celebration. Also today is the Marine Corps birthday. We're having a birthday celebration in Deaton Hall. At an appropriate time, I'm going to excuse myself to be part of that very briefly, but then I will return to the commission. Personnel statistics. Currently, we have 9,878 Los Angeles police officers on payroll, and we have 33 recruits in the academy who are not yet on payroll. So that puts us well over 9,900 police officers, 2,667 civilian staff, 400 reserve officers, 372 specialist volunteers, 61 chaplains, and 6,265 cadets in our program. That concludes my report for today.
Thank you. Any commissioner questions? Do we have any public comment?
We have 14 public comment cards, sir.
Since we have 14 cards, I'm going to limit each comment to 1 minute, please.
Okay, I will call the first 5 speakers. Prentice Jenkins, the Red Chief Hunt, Agustin Sabada, Tut Hayes, and Melina Abdullah. Prentice Jenkins.
That's only 1 minute, folks. We get 2 minutes. You guys are just going to have to stay here for a little bit longer. It's your job to stay here.
You have 1 minute.
2 minutes. 2 minutes. I get 2 minutes. Where my 2 minutes at? 2 minutes. Do not restrict the public from commenting. We want our 2 minutes. Give me my 2 minutes. I want my 2 minutes. You owe me 2 minutes.
Your 1 minute will start now, sir.
Another 10 minutes, that's fine. You owe me 10 minutes. Where are my 10 minutes? Where are my 2 minutes? You owe me 2 minutes. Where are my 2 minutes? You owe me 2 minutes. Where are my 2 minutes? You cannot limit my comments.
I am entitled to limit your minutes.
I want my 2 minutes.
We have more than 10 speakers.
We get 2 minutes. Hey, we get 2 minutes. Where are my 2 minutes? I want my 2 minutes. You cannot limit me from commenting. I want my 2 minutes, sir. Where are my 2 minutes? You owe me 2 minutes. How many people want 2 minutes? Stand up. Everybody here. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Let's go. 2 minutes. You owe me 2 minutes. You owe me 2 minutes. Where are my 2 minutes? I want my 2 minutes.
Mr. Jenkins, it's 1 minute.
It's 1 minute. Everybody needs to sit down.
Give me my 2 minutes. You owe me 2 minutes. You've actually interrupted the meeting. We did. You did. You restricted my meeting. You restricted my minutes.
Time is up, sir.
Where are my minutes?
Time is up.
Sir, where are my minutes?
The next speaker, the Red Chief Hunt.
Next speaker, please.
We want our 2 minutes. The public gets 2 minutes to comment. We get 2 minutes to comment.
Mr. Jenkins,
you have to accommodate us.
You need to take your seat.
Minutes.
You need to take your seat, or you're going to be asked to leave.
You forced me to sit down.
Thank you.
The next speaker, Red Chief Hunt.
Red Chief Hunt. Are you forcing me to sit down and not giving me my 2 minutes?
Yes, I am. I'm giving you. You had 1 minute, which is in my discretion.
So you're forcing me to sit down now.
I am forcing you to sit down, or I'm going to ask you to leave.
That's all I needed.
2 minutes. Everybody gets 2 minutes.
Mr. President, if I may point to the people's attention, on the agenda, the first paragraph of the agenda does say, public comment will be limited to 2 minutes per individual for each item addressed. Where greater than 10 speaker cards are received for a particular item or for the general public comment, the presiding officer may, in the discretion of his or her discretion, reduce the time limit for comment to 1 minute. So it has published, it is part of the agenda, and part of the rules adopted by the Board of Police Commissioners.
I will allow 2 minutes during public comment, but not on this report. Everybody needs to be seated, and Mr. Hunt, please take the microphone. You're right. I do have the discretion to do it, and I'm giving 2 minutes on public comment.
On general public.
This debate is over. Everybody needs to have a seat, and Mr. Hunt, you can have your minute, please.
First of all, wait, hold on. First of all, I'd like to recognize John Mackey, a former commissioner. Please stand up and let me give you a round of applause, sir. Come on. And to Matt Johnson, I really wish that the democracy shows a lot about what you're about. The people took a vote. That's democracy. You should really honor that. Thank you, Michael Wine.
Thank you.
Agustin Sabata.
I need everybody to take a seat because you're blocking the views of the people behind you. You're blocking the view of the people behind you. If you don't take a seat, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Please take your seats. This is the last warning. If you don't take your seats, then I'm going to have you leave the room. Last warning. Okay, can the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 individuals who are still... Sir, would you like to take your seat? Okay, thank you. 1 minute, please.
Hey, Tay Fax or Tay Fank or whatever. What are you laughing about? Are you a stupid ass? Hey, I want to understand here what Alexander Bustamante is doing. He just sits here. He never says anything. He is the Inspector General. You got to report this. This came out. Inspector General came out as a result of the consent decree that was put on this corrupt corporation known as the LAPD. And you're not doing your job, man. And the thing is, too, he talked about the ability to not kill people when there's no threat to the police. Angie Guzman was sitting on the curb, and they came and shot her. They had taken her into custody before and taken her downtown to one of the hospital mental health wards. And your probation officer and your trainee killed Angie Guzman. What about that, Mr. Beck? You didn't do nothing about that, did you? And you're talking bullshit because you're lying, because this is a corrupt entity, and you will keep going on with it unless the people get you out of here. You are corrupt. You were down in Rampart, and at that time when you were in Rampart, how many deals did you make with Cooley to drop a lot of the cases that were against all your officers that were doing all kinds of shit?
Our next speaker is Ted Hayes, followed by Melina Abdullah and Jasmine Richards.
This body is subordinate to the Brown Act. And the Brown Act indicates the body may limit time, not the president. So look at the Brown Act and see whether you're in conformity with it. If it says the body, that means you have to vote on limiting the time. That seemed to me to be more democratic than one person determining what's going to go on. So unless you're following the Brown Act, you're violating the Brown Act. And that, sir, is a misdemeanor and a crime. You're not consistent with your own rules because you call people to speak and they line up by standing against the wall. And so you say you can't stand because that's a violation, but you have people standing against the wall waiting to speak. I always sit down until I'm called to speak because I'm following the rules. So you don't follow your own rules.
Thank you.
Melina Abdullah.
So I think this is, it's just outrageous to me that you can't give 28 minutes to the people who've taken time out. This is a full room of people, of students, of residents who've taken their time out and want to speak to the murderous Chief Beck, who want to talk about the fact that his officers have killed more people than any other police force in this country. And you can't take 2 minutes for that? You can't allow us to have 2 minutes for that? I think that's absolutely ridiculous. And I know that you've tried to stack the room with the so-called good Negroes, the ones that make you feel comfortable, right? But if you want to be a real leader, it's about engaging the people who don't make you feel comfortable. It's about recognizing that you need to be pushed. You need to hear the truth. You need to to allow other voices to come to the fore. You need to stop running, stop being scared, and listen to the voices of the people, your people. We are your people. Stop pretending like he's your people, because he's not your people. He's not your people. If you weren't sitting next to him in a suit, you would not be his people. Right? So decide whose side you're on. Whose side are you on? Are you on the side of white supremacist, patriarchal, heteronormative capitalism? Or are you on the side of the people? Do you stand for Ezell Ford? Or do you stand for Steve Soboroff? Who do you stand for, Matt Johnson? Stop being scared. Stop being scared. I don't care about a warning, because I'm not scared. I have courage. I'm not scared. Stop being scared. That's not who we are. That's not who we are. Listen to the voices of your people. Your people. He is not your people. He kills your people. He is not your people. It's okay. It's okay. He is not your people. And I know you hear me. I know you hear me. I know you hear me, Matt Johnson. Stop running scared. Are you so scared of a black woman that you got to make me sit down? I haven't gone 2 minutes yet. I haven't gone 2 minutes yet. That's why, but you hear me. You hear me.
Are surrounding women. You stand up, because you're a man. Instead of keep letting them surround us, black men. And we'll go. Thank you. Shadow is taking pictures. House pictures.
The next speaker, Jasmine Richards.
Get her out of here, Ben.
No, she does not have. Jasmine Richards does not have to leave. Miss Abdullah has to leave.
And following Jasmine Richards is Eddie Flores.
I'm just going to lift up what this is really all about. I just want to lift up what this is really about, because this ain't about me. This ain't about this house, nigga. This ain't about none of us. It's about these victims that have been killed. So I'm just going to lift up Nephi, y'all, hold on. Nephi Odegain, Adrian Cemento, Cesar A. Limon Juarez, Johnny Ray Anderson, John Leonard Berry, 31, Jason Hindley, Jason Davis, killed by
Pause the clock for a minute. Miss Abdullah, if you don't leave voluntarily, I'm going to have to clear the room.
Miss Richards.
39, Sergio Alexander Navez, Latino, 36.
Miss Richards. We're going to take a recess and clear the room.
Chase him in and chase him out like little puppy dogs. A few less comments.
Okay, so we have. Who's this from? This was from Hamid Khan. What did she say?
Rob, I saw you writing on this stuff down.
Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order. Thank you all for staying with us. I appreciate it.
Okay, I will call
I'm guessing that we probably lost some of our speakers.
Probably. I'll call their names, and if you're present, you may come up and speak. Eddie Flores, Philance Payton, Karina, Hamid Khan, Cooper, L.A. Janae, and Josephine. Okay, sir. They're not here.
Okay. So I guess we will.
We'll
No
move.
consent item agendas? No consent agenda items today?
We have none, sir.
I assume we have no speaker cards on that?
We have none.
So we will move to item number 4, which is my presentation.
Item number 4, regular agenda item, verbal presentation by the board president, discussion and possible board action relative to proposed board initiatives for the Office of Inspector General and department related to use of force, training, and audits.
Thank you. Nearly 2 months ago, I took this chair for the first time and offered my thoughts on taking this very important position. At that time, I promised I would return to you with the initiatives I would like the Commission to support as we move forward. In that short time, I've dedicated myself to hearing the concerns of as many of our city's residents as possible. I've spoken with community leaders, clergy, elected officials, and everyday Angelenos. I've listened to those who have raised their concerns in our Commission meetings. I've met with many members of the LAPD, from the command staff to the rank and file. Today, I'm setting forth my agenda as Police Commission President. I am also requesting a series of audits and reports from both the Department and the Inspector General to achieve these goals. The LAPD has had a challenging history, which contributed to 2 riots and ultimately led to a consent decree. Under the consent decree, the department was required to make major reforms that led to a positive institutional transformation. We must ensure that the department remains committed to those tenets of reform and uses them as a foundation to continuously build upon and improve. We must remain focused on the department's commitment to constitutional, fair, respectful, and unbiased policing of our extremely diverse city, particularly the African American, Latino, LGBTQ, and immigrant communities. Despite the progress the LAPD has made, we are living in challenging times. The LAPD, like police departments across our country, is facing a crisis of confidence with minority communities, particularly African Americans. As a result of both real and perceived racial disparities in policing, there are deepening wounds in Los Angeles and cities across our country. In addition, homicides, violent crimes, and property crimes are all rising. My goal is to use these challenges as turning points and make the LAPD the model for the entire nation. As president of the Police Commission, my vision is for Los Angeles to simultaneously enjoy both effective and constitutional policing. For this to occur, we need strong police leadership coupled with strong, effective oversight by the Police Commission. To that end, the Commission relies heavily upon the Office of the Inspector General's robust and independent investigations and audits of the department. The Commission, with the help of the Office of the Inspector General, must continue to diligently monitor these reforms, as well as devise new and improved ways to oversee the department's operations. I intend to focus on 2 important measurable goals. First, we must reduce the crime rate. The single most important function of any government is to keep its citizens safe. After many years of consecutive yearly reductions in the crime rate, Los Angeles, like so many other cities in our nation, is seeing a significant uptick in essentially every category of crime. Through November 7th, 2015, homicides are up 11.7%, violent crimes are up 21%, and property crimes are up 10.8%, for an overall 12.8% increase in Part 1 crime when compared to 2014. In August alone, we saw 39 homicides, making it the deadliest month since August 2007. Second, we must fully commit to minimizing the number of use of force incidents. The LAPD use of force policy specifically states that the department's guiding value when using force shall be reverence for human life. With that as our guiding principle, I am confident we can significantly reduce the number of use of force incidents while continuing to ensure the safety of our officers. If successful, we will not only reduce the incidence of physical harm to both our residents and our officers, we will also increase the level of trust and respect between the police and our community members. This will also reduce financial harm to the city and reduce the amount of organizational harm that invariably follows use of force incidents. The department has an impressive ability to use metrics to identify crime trends, shift resources, adapt to situations as they occur, and utilize the CompStat and predictive policing models to skillfully improve the policing of our city with its available resources. I have confidence in the department's ability to respond to these increasing crime statistics in a smart and effective manner. The vast majority of officers I have met are genuinely committed to effectively reducing crime, keeping our citizens safe, and respecting people's rights. As a police commission, we must ensure that the police response is not only effective and efficient, but most importantly, constitutional. Our policing must respect our diverse communities and be carried out in a fair and impartial manner that respects the rights of all our residents, while simultaneously respecting and caring for the safety of our officers. While there is a place for crime suppression tactics, we must continue to focus on our successful community-oriented policing strategy and the department's newly launched strategy of relationship-based policing. From officers assigned to a foot beat or in a black and white patrol car up to the chief of police, the Los Angeles Police Department must work to build genuine relationships with community members. These initiatives are essential in enabling our officers to connect with every community, build on our existing partnerships, and develop new ones. Through those partnerships, we will improve relationships one by one and work together to reduce crime. As an example, the department has shown great success in the community safety partnership with the Housing Authority of the City of Los Angeles. By having dedicated officers in our public housing developments, the program has built meaningful relationships between officers and community members and has helped residents solve everyday problems. The program has also resulted in a crime reduction of 21% since its inception in 2011. We clearly need to expand this program, and we will. Further, the LAPD's partnership with the Mayor's Gang Reduction Youth Development Program, in conjunction with other department efforts, has reduced gang violence by 40% since its inception. The Summer Lights program, which Mayor Garcetti has expanded to Friday nights, has greatly assisted these efforts as well. Through these public-private partnerships, the city has shown us how these relationships improves the lives of residents and reduces crime. As a commission, we need to support and foster these initiatives and make sure that the department has the resources it needs to continue and grow and expand these efforts. We can all agree that any use of force incident is one too many. However, it is important to note that while there were 128,366 arrests by the LAPD in 2014, a use of force occurred in only 1,898 of those arrests, a rate of 1.5%. Of that number, an officer-involved shooting occurred in 30 of those use of force incidents. It is also important to note, however, that in a year-to-date comparison to 2014, officer-involved shootings have nearly doubled, increasing from 23 to 45. This is an alarming development. I believe we can work towards vastly reducing the number of use of force incidents through extensive training and modifying our tactics. The LAPD rightfully takes pride in its role as a national leader in the development of police training and tactics in the law enforcement community. But with that desire to lead comes responsibility. The department must continue to review, improve, and evolve our training and tactics from the first days of the police academy throughout our officers' careers, even for the most experienced police officers. The Commission received an extensive briefing from the department during our September 22nd meeting on the revised training program to even better prepare our officers. This training includes 4 components: public trust and preservation of life, constitutional policing, handling persons suspected of being mentally ill, and use of force de-escalation techniques. In particular, the department's focus on use of force de-escalation techniques and training in dealing with people suspected of being mentally ill are critical components in minimizing encounters that result in use of force. We need to ensure that this training is effective and that there is enthusiastic acceptance from the command staff through every level of the department. The initial stand-down training conducted over the past several months, plus the new training to be launched later this month, is an encouraging start. It clearly puts us at the forefront of these efforts nationwide. But culture and habits do not change overnight. To accomplish these necessary changes, we will need continual training and reinforcement of the new expectations. We will have to reward excellence and hold accountable those who do not comply. We cannot expect to change behavior if there are not real consequences for those found to be out of policy. In addition to supporting community and relationship-based policing initiatives and increased training, we must also ensure that our officers have the best equipment to support our efforts to reduce incidents of deadly use of force while continuing to keep our officers safe. Thanks in large part to Commissioner Sobroff's efforts and Mayor Garcetti and Chief Beck's leadership, Los Angeles will soon be the largest city in America to put body-worn cameras on every officer on the street. I believe that the widespread deployment of body-worn cameras and digital in-car video system cameras will be transformative for policing by reducing both use of force and bias policing. Early research supports that officers wearing cameras have significantly fewer use of force incidents and complaints than officers not wearing the cameras. Body-worn cameras will benefit both community members and the police officers who wear them. Overall, the research found that when police officers are aware that their behavior is being monitored through on-body cameras, and when residents are aware that they are being recorded, everyone behaves better. Thanks to a recent directive by Chief Beck, soon all police officers in the field will be equipped with and required to carry a taser device, allowing less than lethal use of force when called for. I would also like to see beanbag shotguns more widely deployed. These resources can save lives by preventing a deadly use of force from occurring. Our training and tactics must use less than lethal options in a manner that maximizes their effectiveness and minimizes the use of deadly force. I am confident that the combination of these initiatives, a commitment to providing the most current training and tactics, doubling down on community-oriented and relationship-based policing, the full deployment of body-worn cameras, the digital in-car video system cameras, and ensuring that our officers have the best equipment available, including tasers and beanbag shotguns, will simultaneously help us reduce crime, decrease use of force incidents, and increase the level of trust between our communities and the police department that serves them. But we must recognize that it is not just about crime and statistics. This work requires everyone in Los Angeles to accept more responsibility. Respect is a two-way street, and communities and police in Los Angeles must work together. Though much work lies ahead, the changes we make in our city will serve as an example to other cities facing the same issues. As we begin to see the transformative results in our city, we will all have helped create a greater Los Angeles for our future generations, as well as a model for police departments around the world to follow. In conclusion, I request concurrence from my fellow commissioners with the following. Number one, that the Office of the Inspector General analyze the department's categorical use of force over the last decade. The report should break down the various types of force used over that time period and detail the changes in training and policies that have occurred over the same period. This report will include the Office of the Inspector General identifying the rates of injury to community members and officers associated with uses of force, and the adjudicated outcomes for those cases that have occurred. Number 2, that the Office of the Inspector General prepare a report comparing deadly use of force by the LAPD to other large agencies in our country. This report should provide the basis for an informed discussion on the rate and manner of the department's use of force. Number 3, building on the comments of Chief Beck last week, that the department work with the Inspector General and the Commission's Use of Force Subcommittee, consisting of Commissioner Saltzman and myself, to develop an annual categorical use of force report format, with the emphasis on breaking down uses of force in a manner that is useful to the Police Commission in its oversight and policymaking role, the department, and the public. A final draft of the format should be completed for review and approval by the Commission within 30 days, to be implemented by the department 60 days from Commission approval. Number 4, that the Office of the Inspector General review the department's use of what is commonly called less than lethal force, to examine how the department can improve the use of tasers, beanbag shotguns, and other less than lethal options, particularly in the handling of persons suspected of being mentally ill and the handling of persons with knives or weapons other than firearms, in an effort to reduce incidents of officer-involved shootings. Number 5, that the Office of the Inspector General monitor and attend the new training initiatives and issue a report evaluating their effectiveness once completed. And finally, number 6, that the department, in concert with the Office of the Inspector General, develop a comprehensive audit and inspection plan related to body-worn cameras that reviews the usage of these cameras to identify training issues, concerns with existing policies, and constitutional policing issues. The Office of the Inspector General is further asked to design its own plans to monitor the use of these videos. It is important to note that these audits and reports are not ends in and of themselves. They will be tools to guide us how and where we can improve the department. Once we have this information, it will be our collective responsibility, the department, this commission, and the community, to use it to continue the reform efforts that began with the consent decree, and to build the LAPD into the best trained, best equipped, most professional, and most respected police organization in America. Together, we will make our city the safest big city in America and become a model for constitutional policing for the nation. Thank you. Would any of my fellow commissioners like to comment or question?
I'd like to. First, I just want to thank you, Mr. President. I welcome your comments, and I fully support the goals that you've identified. After our discussion and public comment, I will happily move approval of the proposals in your statement. From my perspective, the Commission, of course, has a number of important functions, but perhaps the most important one is, as representatives of the public, that we partner with the department to ensure constitutional policing, as you've identified, and specifically that we provide the independent oversight for the public of the uses of force. And I think you are right to point out that the challenge we face today, as is being faced nationally by other cities and police forces, is an opportunity. It's a turning point. It gives us the opportunity to discuss these issues publicly and to provide as much transparency as we can on these issues. As a commission, we're in the position to evaluate the department. And although we, in many instances, are in partnership with the department, we also have the obligation to criticize, provide critical analysis, criticize the department when we conclude that's appropriate. And to me, that's inherent in what you've been saying. A few weeks ago, when you publicly identified the national crisis in confidence that police departments are experiencing across the country as something that you wanted to focus on, as it's an issue here in Los Angeles, I said then that I thought you had presented a very balanced approach to the nature of the problem. And I think you've done that again today. That is, you provide details about the nature of the issues we're facing, but they're complex issues. And you've presented it in a way that I think balances a variety of the concerns. You've clearly identified the challenges and that they present an opportunity for us as a turning point. But I think you've carefully balanced the need to support our officers as they face the extraordinary challenges that they face every day, and that we need to ensure constitutional policing, and that we also need the balance for the department and the commission. We need the ability for the department and the commission to adjust, to change focus, to change goals, change policies as it's appropriate to respond to the challenging conditions, concerns that you've identified. And I think your proposals move us forward in doing that. With respect to uses of force specifically, you've identified the increase this year, which is troubling, and I think we all look forward to gathering that information and understanding better what it represents and what's behind it with respect to officer-involved shootings. Finally, perhaps of most importance, it seems to me, your goals as laid out will allow us to discuss these issues in public as we should, to provide as much transparency about these issues as we possibly can. So I'm happy to support this. I think it's well done, well balanced, and will lead us to the kind of public discussion we should be having. And I absolutely think you're right that this is a challenge, but a turning point for us, an opportunity. And I look forward to moving approval of your proposals. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I don't have too much substantively to add to that, but I completely agree with Commissioner Saltzman. I really appreciate President Johnson's leadership in advancing an agenda that reflects the ideals of a progressive law enforcement agency. I think the agenda reinforces the principles already guiding the police department, but suggests a fresh look at how to effectively continue to further those goals. I welcome your agenda and support it fully. This agenda not only takes a critical look at use of force, well, I should say, in taking a critical look at use of force, it not only aims to reduce uses of force for public safety, but also for officer safety. And I think that's really critical to keep in mind. I think that in implementing this agenda, the role of race will also be looked at, which is incredibly important for also honoring the principles that have been guiding the police department under the consent decree, and continue to reinforce critical evaluation of that. The evaluation of use of force, I think, will also take a fresh look and a critical evaluation of the legal standard and the policies in place. And my hope is that there will also be a comparative analysis, as you laid out, with other police departments and other policies. I very much appreciate President Johnson's role. You only began 2 months ago, and I only regret that the folks that tend to come to the meetings neglect to see how proactive you have been in supporting the police department, and in a way that that really takes seriously the principles that I think that the department honors, but that the commission has an obligation, responsibility to implement. So I fully support your agenda. Thanks.
Thank you.
I think this is a keeper. I think that it's the problems in a world where the issues are changing dramatically with technology and media coverage and the underserved communities growing so rapidly, and the economic disparities increasing so rapidly, and at a time when it's so difficult to be poor, and a time it's so difficult to live in an underserved community, and a time that it's so difficult to be a police officer, and a time that it's so difficult to be a police commissioner. I think that your goals, I think, are great and relatively predictable. But your vision for meeting the goals, the way you've put it, President Matt, whatever you want me to call you, I think is balanced. It's fair. It is not that it's not assuming that we know everything or anybody knows everything. That we all have to do it together. So I applaud you and I congratulate you on this.
Mr. President, if I could comment from the department. The department absolutely and enthusiastically supports this agenda. Constitutional and effective policing has been my goal since the day I took office as chief of police. I believe that this agenda absolutely supports where the department needs to go, and actually where the profession needs to travel, the road the profession needs to travel also. I think this is an important national discussion. We're a leader in the nation in policing, and as evidenced by the stature that we hold in major city chiefs and in Washington, and I think that this will allow us to not only take advantage of that but improve on it. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I look forward to working in partnership in moving these items forward.
Do we need a motion for?
We need a motion.
Do you have public comments, sir?
We have 8 public comment cards. We have Prentice Jenkins, the Red Chief, Agustin Sabata, Reverend K.W. Tulas, Pastor Smart,
I'd like to tell this board that what you did was absolutely illegal. You sent a cop out with a bullhorn to tell us if we don't leave, we're going to be arrested. If you think you're going to get away with that, you're not. We will sue this board. Trust me, I'm already working on it right now. Sure. The second you send a cop out with a bullhorn, if I learned anything about cops with bullhorns, the next thing that's going to happen is they're going to start hitting people in the head with those nightsticks. Once you come out with the bullhorn, it's on. If I learned anything about cops in my 56 years, is that when they bring out the bullhorns, there's going to be some bloodshed. Hey, you guys like bloodshed. The media, the media says if it bleeds, it leads. You will get your story because it will bleed. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to get out the nightsticks because it just rapidly progresses. First, you wasn't throwing us out. Then you start throwing us out. We stand out in the lobby. Now we stand out in the lobby. You threaten us with a bullhorn, a cop with a bullhorn. And that cop told us that the meeting was over. So if you told him that was a lie. And you forced everybody to go home. See this man right here? This man teaches me a lot, Mr. Tut Hayes. He said, don't go anywhere. Wait him out. That's exactly what we did. We waited you out. And sure enough, here you are, in here having the meeting. You all should be ashamed of yourself. Guess what? This is a public meeting. You people aren't Russian or Chinese. I assume you're not. This is not Russia or China. You cannot restrict the public. You're going to continue to restrict us like the Russians and the Chinese. I mean, those meetings are going on all over their countries, but they don't have the public in their country, in their meetings.
Ted Hayes, Najee Ali, and Minnie Hadley Hempstead.
Once we put out in the lobby, a lieutenant came out with a bullhorn and declared an unlawful assembly and indicated we could not be anywhere near this building's grounds. We had to be at least on 1st Street and at least on 2nd Street, and indicated that the meeting was over. This is what I mean by a police state. The police have decided to determine how we will interact with a government body, this body in particular. So the unlawful assembly was called because I believe it's rather raucous. People were shouting at Black Lives Matter, and it's not a joke and things like that. It's verbal. No one was threatening. No one was doing anything of that nature, but an unlawful assembly was called. So that meant, from what the lieutenant told us, that we had to leave the entire grounds of the police department. Now, I don't know how these other people got back inside, but we were told if we did not leave, we would all be arrested. And so all those who were put out were leaving under the threat of arrest. So that's the police state I'm so concerned about, that you have allowed the police to determine what will happen in this country, in this city, in America, when it comes to our exercising peaceful assembly. I think peaceful assembly can be conducted even though people are shouting and screaming and chanting. I don't know whether that it rises to the level of an unlawful assembly in the minds of an officer or not, but that's exactly the way in which they perform, as the shouting, chanting is a crime.
Mr. President.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chief Beck, members of the commission and staff. My name is Najee Ali. I'm the political director of the National Action Network, and I'm here today in full support of Commissioner Johnson's proposal. I believe that this is a game changer. Thank you for your hard work, and we want to commend you as a community, because I think it's very important that we show our support, because too often when we're down here, we hear other voices who don't speak on behalf of the community, because at the end of the day, Congresswoman Maxine Waters, Congresswoman Karen Bass, Supervisor Mark Ridley Thomas, Councilman Marquise Harris Dawson, Price, Wesson, every major black elected official, every major organization from the NAACP, whose president is here, to my colleague, Commissioner Dallas Fowler, and others, we stand behind you, Commissioner Johnson, and the work the LAPD is doing. So we're looking to make sure that we try to support the good efforts to make our city safe, because public safety is very important to our community. And in closing, I just want to encourage the commission to stand firm, stand strong with courage and conviction against activists who engage in violence, who try to shut out other voices, because this morning I was punched right in my face in the police lobby by Black Lives Matter activist, the self-proclaimed mayor of Skid Row, General Jeff Johnson. And I thought to myself, who physically attacks someone in the middle of a police lobby? Who does that? Maybe. So, in my opinion, if they say Black Lives Matter, then my life should matter. I should get punched in the face, and I did nothing. So, in closing, I just want to encourage the commission, don't let a handful of people discourage you from standing up for the city of LA. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
To President Johnson, Chief Beck, and Inspector General Bustamante. It's my pleasure to be here today and listening and sitting here reading through your goals. I think they're wonderful. And I know you came in here this morning, you feel like you're going to make the world a difference. And I hope when your term ends that you have that same feeling. Those are excellent ideas. The people you saw in here this morning, I was shocked too. But what I saw, maybe it's not what you saw. I saw people who are frustrated and have been frustrated for some time. We are not us and them. It's we. You're no different than those people who were making all that noise. We take good care of our police department. Look how well dressed they are. Their families are well cared for. Feel the same way about us. Don't feel like you're different or better A lot of the policemen on the street do not respect us. I have my son-in-laws were police officers. One was 32 years, and one was 30 years, I think almost 30 years with the Los Angeles Police Department. And I know, Chief Beck, I've seen you out recently. You're trying, and I can tell, and I like that. We have to work together. You have to respect. I can sit on the curb and talk with a homeless person 10 or 15 minutes. He's a person just like I'm a person, and we don't get that a lot in our community. And I know when you have policemen on the street and they do not respect the public they are serving, that's when you have excessive use of force. And I've mentioned to you about the things that I was not pleased with and still not pleased with. Think about it. You have to do better, because we are going to be trying to do better. We can't control everything, but we're on your team. Thank you.
Thank you.
There are no other cards on this item. We're now on item number 5, public comment.
Sorry? There's a vote.
I move approval of the goals outlined in the Commission President's statement.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Moves unanimously, and we'll move to public comment.
Public comment, sir. We have 7 comment cards. We have Prentice Jenkins, the Red Chief Hunt, Agustin Sabata, Tut Hayes, Jacqueline Richardson, Curtis Silvers, and Dallas Fowler.
A little show and tell here.
Slept with their baby nearby. A viewer sent us this story via the hashtag ABC7 Eyewitness. That story now from Eyewitness News reporter Leanne Suter, live in Culver City. Leanne.
Mark, the family says it's not only that a bullet was fired into their apartment, they also found that officer's weapon in the hallway. All of it happening in the apartment complex you see behind me here inside one of the buildings.
Okay. Cops shooting into people's apartments. I mean, we got cops shooting into people's apartment. What is that about? I mean, was this cop drunk? Was he high on cocaine? The woman says she found his gun in the hallway. What's going on, Chief Beck? I mean, cops shooting into people's apartments. And this cop was a rookie, and he left his gun. I mean, anybody could have come across that gun. The woman just happened to look out whose apartment she shot in. He shot in, and there was a gun laying on the ground. What's happening to this cop? Because this is the type of cop that would kill his L4 for just walking down the street. That's him. Honey, that's the cop right there. Walking around, shooting holes in people's apartments. People were in their apartment, minding their own business, cop shoots a hole in it. And no one knows why the cop did it. You know why that cop did it. Did you guys whisk him away? Did you check him for alcohol? Did you check him for drugs? That's the question. Are these cops being, you do have a bunch of mentally ill cops. I say about 10%. So 90% are good cops, even suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. But then you got that 10% that are shooting holes in people's walls. That was not an accident. Man took out his gun, shot it in the wall. Maybe he was stalking the people. I don't know. All I know is the people refused to go on camera. They talked, but they wouldn't show their face. Why? Because they knew that cop could come back after them.
Ted Hayes.
If Mr. Ali was punched in a lobby that had 30 cops in it, and he did not call for an arrest as a citizen, and the officer did not arrest that person? Okay. Thank you. Anyway, on the authorization to clear the room, meeting rather, and willfully for whatever, it says members. It doesn't say president. The Brown Act consistently points out that the body has to make a determination about things that they do. Because the Brown Act points out just to be present at the meeting when a violation of the Brown Act occurs is a misdemeanor. So the other commissioners who are here, who do not take it upon themselves to correct the behavior of a person like the president, they fall under the category of being misdemeanors. It says interrupting a meeting room, members of the legislative body, members, S, plural, of the legislative body conducting the meeting may order the room cleared. So the president can't do that. The Brown Act indicates that the body has to do that because the president, as usual, may be entirely wrong and violating the law. In order to save yourself, prohibit your being classified as a criminal, you have to stop his behavior. Read Robert's Rules of Order. You can always overrule the president by a vote.
Dallas Fowler.
Good morning.
Greetings and good morning, Mr. President, Commissioners, and Chief Beck. Thank you for giving us a space to be able to give our comments as well as hear your agenda. I came specifically today, as you know, Mr. President, to hear your agenda for moving forward with this commission and the department, and I want to commend you on that, and as well as commend the members of this commission for supporting the goals that were laid out in that agenda. I think that I echo Commissioner Salzman's comments. I think that they are going to be very balanced and fair in terms of how we need to move forward as a community. And because I also consider the officers of the police department community as well, we have to move forward together. And it's unfortunate that the people who did try to come out today were not able to contain themselves long enough to hear what's coming out and what's going to be moving forward. And I look forward to returning in the next couple weeks to hear how those items are rolling out effectively. Thank you again to you, Mr. President, as well as to the commissioners for implementing these goals. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, one more item while I still have 30 seconds. I did witness Mr. Najee Ali be punched in the lobby today, and it is odd that something like that could happen in police headquarters here in Los Angeles, but it's actually quite unfortunate because when you are trying to if your goal and mission is to support a community and protect a community, the very members who you're trying to protect, you should not be assaulting. And so thank you to the officers that are taking action to apprehend that gentleman who did that. Thank you.
Thank you.
There are no other cards on this item, sir. We're now on item number 6, closed session. Before we recess, we do have 2 comment cards. We have Prentice Jenkins and Ted Hayes. Excuse me, we just have one more card on item 5.
On item 5?
Yes.
Public comment.
Reverend,
Who?
Sorry.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Curtis Silvers, Executive Vice President of the Brotherhood Crusade. For 47 years, the Brotherhood Crusade, founded by Walter Breman and our institutional builder, Danny Bakewell Sr., have been working diligently in the South Los Angeles communities, helping to make the lives better. On behalf of our President and CEO, Sharice Breman Weaver, we want to wholeheartedly support and endorse President Johnson's goal and vision for the Los Angeles Police Commission. We encourage him and the commission to do the right thing and continue to make Los Angeles a better place to live. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now we'll take the 2 comments.
You can't harass us. You can't force us to sit down when we're speaking. We have the right to speak. But you continue to violate.
But you have to stay on topic, and the topic right now are the closed session items, which are
closed session items. Okay.
2
officer-involved shootings. Oh, that's great. It's even better than what I was about to talk about. Officer-involved shootings. Chief Beck, I am still a supporter of yours, but I want to know when you're going to arrest those 2 cops that killed Ezell Ford, murdered him.
That is not on topic.
This
We
is
can talk
officer-involved shooting, sir.
It is the officer-involved shootings are these officer-involved shootings. Not you can talk about officer-involved shootings generally, but not about specific cases that are not these.
Generally. What you mean? I don't understand. I went to public school, so you're going to have to figure. You're going to have to explain that to me.
There are 2 specific cases that are in item 6 regarding officer-involved shootings.
Okay.
You can talk about those specific cases, or you can talk about officer-involved shootings generally, but you can't talk about a specific officer-involved shooting other than these 2.
Okay, so can you put 40 more seconds on there since you had to
I
explain
stopped
it
the
to me?
time, sir.
I'm sorry?
The time stopped when the commissioner started speaking.
Oh, I saw it keep moving. Okay, officer-involved shooting. When are you going to stop killing people like Ezell Ford? I told you. I keep a lot of space up here for knowledge. Yeah. What are you doing to prevent these sort of murders? I mean, this man was murdered. He was walking down the street.
Once again, you are off topic.
Let me rephrase it, Your Honor. People are walking down. I need 10 more seconds. That interrupted. People are walking down the street and they're getting killed by cops. There are people walking down the street getting killed by cops. That's not right. In any community, that's not right. Louisiana, 2 crazy cops killed a 6-year-old child. I mean, it's getting out of control.
Ted Hayes.
Brown Act indicates you cannot prohibit, you cannot stop criticism of what you do or what you don't do, in simple terms. So if someone steps here to this microphone on any agenda item and launches into a criticism of what you have done or what you have not done,
Mr. Hayes, you have to stay
you
on
cannot
topic
prohibit
to
that
the
comment.
particular
You're
agenda
going to
item.
have to arrest me, okay? I'm not going to relinquish my speaking
That will
right.
be your choice.
Huh?
But that will be your choice. But the
look,
agenda
that's
item
over, said and
are
done.
2 officer-involved
All I'm
shootings.
saying is you can't prohibit criticism one way or the other. It's simple. Anybody can understand that. The Attorney General of the State of California has made determinations on that. I don't know where your counsel went to, but he should be here to indicate that what I'm saying
Mr. Hayes,
is
you
exactly
need to
true.
direct your comments to the agenda item.
No, I'm criticizing you.
But you cannot criticize me unless it's related to the agenda item. And
No.
feel free to criticize me as it relates to the
I'm
agenda
criticizing
item.
you
But you're not
for
on
what you
topic.
have done and what you have not done, and you can't prohibit that. Cannot prohibit it.
This is your last warning to get back on topic.
I am criticizing you, and I'm going to continue to do that because you are a criminal, sir, because you violate the Brown Act.
Okay.
And the rest of the members of this body are violating the
You're
Brown
off
Act
topic.
also. The Brown Act says the
can shut
only
off the
thing
mic.
necessary
He's
to
off topic.
violate this act is to be present. That's rather
Do we
extreme.
have any other comments on this
But the
item?
We have
state,
no other comments, sir.
I have 20 seconds.
You were off topic, and I warned you multiple times.
I'm not leaving the podium until my 20 seconds have expired. Now, what are you going to do about that, sir?
The Board of Police Commissioners will now recess into closed session to discuss item number 6A and 6B in accordance with Government Code 54957.
Let's go.
The Board of Police Commissioners has concluded its work in closed session. We are back in open session. In closed session, item number 6A1 was discussed and the chief's recommendations were unanimously adopted. In closed session, item number 6B was discussed. Item number 6A2 was discussed and the chief's recommendations were unanimously adopted. And in closed session, item number 6B was discussed. Mr. President, is there a motion for adjournment?
Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Do I have a second? All in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
What is a red flag day? That's a day when you don't park your car if you see one of these, so emergency vehicles can get through. How do you know when it is? TV News will tell you, or the Los Angeles Fire Department can contact you via email or phone. Sign up at www.lafd.org/redflag. Remember, you see this?